That's a fact. And no matter how unachievable that goal or dream might be, if you keep practicing and keep working towards it, one day you get very close.
So what? Nobody cares. Train harder.
There's been some talk about possibly Joshua using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah.
Reports indicate that Jake Paul has been putting in work alongside Tyson Fury as he gears up for his showdown with Anthony Joshua. According to Fury, Jake has taken a major step toward the long-term ambitions he's been chasing, and this fight represents one of the biggest leaps in that progression. Fury believes Jake will attack the opportunity with everything he has, describing the fight as evenly balanced because Jake has evolved far beyond his early internet persona and now enters the ring with genuine purpose.
And even if you don't actually achieve the biggest target in your life, you might get close to it, so it's definitely worth pursuing. But someone who doesn't have goals and doesn't have a target can never achieve anything.
Jake Paul's current training regimen has been intense. Driven by his stated goal of eventually capturing a world title, he's approaching this camp with complete seriousness, dialing in his discipline, sharpening his fundamentals, and targeting every weakness. Jake insists that the grind will pay off in the long run, revealing how dedicated he is to proving he's more than a celebrity dabbling in the sport.
Not be treated like I'm Jake Paul or a famous person. No, like they treat me like I'm trying to become a world champion, which is exactly the case.
Fury maintains that Jake Paul has a legitimate shot at defeating Anthony Joshua, emphasizing how drastically Jake has improved. Fury argues that fans and analysts can no longer dismiss him, noting that Paul has turned himself into a focused competitor capable of surprising even top-tier.
Talk about possibly Joshua using Jake Paul as a tune-up to fight you. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know about tune-up. I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why so? What impresses you about Jake Paul?
I just think Jake Paul would knock AJ out. I think AJ's been forced, and I think Jake Paul's on the rise. And I like his new heavyweight look. Bit chubby, bit bulky.
Decades. Boxing has blended sport with economics, and Barry Hearn underscores this point when speaking about Anthony Joshua. The seasoned promoter argues that Joshua should seriously weigh a fight with Jake Paul, because boxing ultimately revolves around financial reward. While purists may question the merit or competitiveness of the matchup, Hearn stresses that the monetary upside cannot be overlooked. From the standpoint of fighters, promoters, and spectators, a Joshua Paul event could generate earnings that exceed traditional bouts, making it hard to brush aside purely through a sporting lens.
He should fight Jake Paul. What's your view on that, Barry?
Money. Don't be silly. You know, I mean, you're mostly sensible, aren't you?
Mostly.
Mostly. Of course, we're all purists at heart, but purism doesn't necessarily pay the bills. And boxing is a money business. And the day we don't accept that and then move on, we won't understand why certain things happen.
So if that fight's there next week and it's signable and they can do Joshua against Tyson Fury next year, take the Jake Paul fight in December, go and do it.
128%.
Sports commentator Simon Jordan has offered his take on Jake Paul's unusual climb through the boxing ranks. Jordan highlights how unconventional Paul's path has been, moving from online entertainer to challenger of elite athletes is far from the sport's typical progression. Traditionalists are skeptical because boxing historically rewards slow, structured development through the amateur circuit and steadily tougher opposition. Paul's rapid, unorthodox ascent disrupts those long-standing expectations, prompting questions about respect for the craft, the caliber of his opponents, and whether his trajectory is sustainable.
As a boxing purist, it doesn't sit well, but as a normal working class lad, I've been asked by builders, would you fight Jake Paul for 5 million quid? I never got 5 million quid for fighting anyone else in a fight, so it's the silliest question in the world. I've been retired 7 years, I'm still very confident. If you give me 3 weeks to get off the couch, I'll probably still beat him with one hand. It's not, he's not a good fighter, so it's not even being disrespectful to him. As a YouTuber, as a presenter in what he does, he blows me out the water. That's his line of work. But you're stepping into boxing, another profession. Now, to call it like a Canelo out, I think is disrespectful. To call Anthony Joshua out is lunacy, but we know why it's happening and why he does it.
Forget Jake
Put
Paul.
asses on
Forget
seats and he
Jake
sells a lot of
Paul.
tickets.
Paul. I mean, Jake Paul's going to do what Jake Paul does. But Anthony Joshua, and with respect to you and what you did and didn't earn in your career, Anthony Joshua has earned a king's ransom.
Yeah.
So he doesn't need to be fiddled with this, does he?
Yeah. No, he doesn't. But again, all I keep seeing from people out there is, when is enough enough? And I get that. But when you're retired at 33, 34, and you've got to make that last now, you've got more experience than me in this, dealing with a lot of footballers in the past as well, and business people who have to make a certain amount of budget last. It's the easiest money you'll probably ever make.
Even so, Jake Paul has delivered the biggest paydays of several professionals' careers, demonstrating his commercial influence on the sport, yet his behavior hasn't earned universal approval. Critics point out that he has frequently taunted decorated veterans and taken shots at long-respected fighters in ways some consider inflammatory. This creates a complicated dynamic. Paul injects significant money and exposure into boxing, but his brash style challenges long-held traditions and stirs mixed reactions among seasoned figures and purists.
I want to fight Anthony Joshua, exclusive, because I know that I will.
I'm so sorry for my English, but I have to. See, Jake Paul does lots of good things. He has a camp for kids where he, I guess, gives training and coaching and gloves and environment for kids in Puerto Rico. He helped lots of boxers to get the bigger purse than they deserve. He has done some good things. But, and you are kind of trying to be on his side, but then he says something like that. Like, you almost are on his side, and then he says, I want to fight Anthony Joshua and Canelo at the same night or whatever. Jake, fighting Anthony Joshua and Canelo is not fighting Tyron Woodley or 60 years old Mike Tyson with Alzheimer's. Anthony Joshua is able to literally kill you. No doubt. If his mission is to kill you on the ring, he will kill you. You lost against Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury won against you. What Anthony Joshua? What Canelo, my friend? Canelo, you would need the liver replacement after Canelo fight. I promise you. I don't know. So stop doing that shit. Do the good things you are doing, and we'll be on your side. Just stop saying crazy shit like this.
The debate over a potential Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight involves more than just revenue. Comparisons to Gervonta Davis's exhibition with Paul highlight the differences at play. Davis was viewed as undersized for Paul, while Joshua represents a far more imposing obstacle due to his size and experience. Analysts emphasize that Joshua would not approach the matchup as a light-hearted spectacle. He would treat it as a real contest where genuine skill and punching, strength matter. That seriousness aligns with the attitude Joshua brings to all professional competition, making such a fight distinct from most celebrity-driven bouts.
Fight one, yes, that's the former heavyweight champ. Why is he fighting Jake Paul? And two, why is Jake Paul putting his health and well-being on the line? Because someone asked me on Twitter, Wade, if Jake Paul gets knocked out, will his career be over? Buddy, his life may be over if he gets knocked out by AJ, because that dude put Francis Ngannou flat on his back, and I had never seen Francis Ngannou hurt before. Again, it's boxing, not MMA. Jake has a little more experience, but we're talking about a massive size difference. AJ's still relatively young and still relatively got something left in the tank, and he's only fought the world-class guys for the last 10 years. This would be Jake's not only hardest fight, most dangerous fight of his career. If Jake is doing this, it could signal the last one. I'm not even joking. This could signal Jake being like, I'm having one more of these and I'm out. Because where do you go from Anthony Joshua? We'll get into that part in a second, but the Netflix thing. We know that Anthony Joshua is an exclusive fighter to DAZN. Eddie Hearn has stated that multiple times. AJ, I'm pretty sure, even has a piece of DAZN. I could be wrong about that, but he signed a mega deal years ago with them. So for this fight to take place on Netflix would mean DAZN would say, you can have one of our biggest cash draws, and maybe in a revenue share thing, or maybe Netflix pays them some money, but you can have our biggest cash draw and we don't have an affiliation with it. That seems a bit unrealistic. But having said that, this isn't a report from anybody in the camp. This is not MVP saying it. This is not Eddie Hearn saying it. This is Mike Coppinger, who I guess has talked to people in the camp. But an independent source saying that they are finalizing a deal. Not that they're in talks. They are finalizing a deal. So this is, again, we're talking 1 yard line, 1st and goal, right? We're right there.
Davies also stresses the enormous physical gap between Joshua and Paul. At 6 feet 7 inches with a much heavier frame, Joshua enters with natural advantages over the 6'2" Paul. That disparity affects strategies on both sides and elevates the level of danger involved. Combined with Joshua's elite technical background, the matchup would pose a daunting challenge for Paul, while simultaneously feeding into the massive fan interest. For spectators, this size versus stardom contrast heightens the drama and spectacle.
I'm not sure Anthony Joshua's going to play the game like everyone else. And it could be fairly calamitous, I think, if Joshua stepped into a ring with Jake Paul. But we're going to watch it because we want to see Jake Paul get knocked the F out. We do. Everyone wants to see it. I mean, I've even said it to him. I was looking forward to Mike Tyson him knocking the fuck out. Doesn't surprise me. He's looking for the biggest names out there, and it just shows that he's prepared to put himself on the line to promote himself.
Would it be more competitive than the Ngannou fight, in your opinion, or less?
That's a very good analogy. It's a very good comparison. Much less competitive. I mean, I think it's got to be at that level of exhibition bout. I think it's a very dangerous fight for Jake Paul. Very dangerous. He's probably got one chance to try and counterpunch. And if he catches Joshua, he might do something, but I see that as a 100% win for Anthony Joshua.
Another major factor is Joshua's frightening knockout power, which Gareth describes using vivid, almost violent imagery, likening it to a sudden, mule-like jolt. Such explosive force doesn't just intimidate, it shapes the entire tactical landscape. Commentators note that a single lapse from Paul could end the match instantly. It's contributing to both the risk and the excitement surrounding the fight. Joshua's ability to generate that kind of power reinforces the legitimate sporting stakes, balancing the financial motives with real athletic danger.
This one, you got a guy who's 6'7" to Jake Paul 6'2", probably weighs 30 pounds more than him if he's 220, and who hits like a blooming mule kicks. So, and you know, yes, Anthony Joshua's had issues against very skilled boxers, and he's been caught by Andy Ruiz, and he's been caught by Alexander Usyk twice, and out-hustled and out-boxed, and knocked out by Daniel Dubois. But Jake Paul is not the kind of not the kind of guy who is going to be able to pick him apart in any way.
Michael Bisping offers a nuanced view of Jake Paul's risk-reward equation. He argues that Paul sits in an unusually favorable position. If he somehow beats Joshua, the victory would skyrocket his status to unprecedented heights. And even in defeat, Paul's name recognition and public profile would only grow. Traditional fighters can suffer career-defining setbacks in similar situations. But Paul faces little downside and massive potential upside, which explains why he consistently hunts for the biggest, boldest matchups available.
Out there on an island by myself, everyone says the same thing, and he would potentially prove all of those critics wrong. Well, yeah, he would, maybe, unless there's some funny business, right? And for Anthony Joshua, as I said, this is kind of a lose-lose, right? Because if he wins, people are still going to say, well, you only beat Jake Paul, right? The man that lost to Tommy Fury, after all, right? That's the only loss in his record, Tommy Fury. You're telling me that Tommy Fury is going to beat him and then Anthony Joshua's not going to beat him? So if he beats him, he gets no credit. And if he loses, then holy can you imagine? That would be the biggest downfall of any boxer's career. The reality is, he's not going to lose. There is no way on this earth that Jake Paul can beat Anthony Joshua in a boxing match. That's just a fact, okay? Look at what he did to Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou hits as hard as a Ford Escort, going 100 miles an hour or whatever that stat was. Comes from the UFC. He was the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. Has a good go against Tyson Fury, but goes up against Anthony Joshua and gets flatlined. Every single punch that was thrown was landed, and every punch that landed put Francis Ngannou down, okay? So to stand there and think that Jake Paul, who's much, much smaller, who has way less experience, that doesn't weigh anything near him, is going to have a chance, and not to mention the technical abilities. Let's just talk about that. Not to mention the technical abilities or experience. We're talking about an Olympic gold medalist, remember, from back in the day, who's then gone on to become a true British boxing icon, or a worldwide boxing icon, let's be honest, right? There's no way that he loses to Jake Paul.